We saw a huge increase in international terrorism after 1967. We saw an increase in airline hijackings. In 1972, there was the famous kidnapping and hostage taking at the Munich Olympics. And a lot of this was because of the 1967 war and its aftermath. After the war, the Palestinians no longer felt they could rely on Arab states to liberate them. In the past, they had believed that the combined might of Arab armies would be there and would give them a state, and the Israeli humiliation of Arab armies made that impossible. Right after the war, they tried guerrilla warfare in the West Bank, and Israeli security forces and the relative incompetence of the Palestinians in doing this led that to be a quick disaster for them. And after they were doing cross-border raid after cross-border raid, they realized that they were losing more and more people, and the world wasn't paying attention. So they turned to international terrorism as a way to grab world attention, and because many of their alternatives that they'd relied on in the past simply weren't working. One of the positive impacts for the Palestinians was that it put it on the world stage. A number of Palestinian officials said that really after they turned to terrorism, no one could ignore them anymore. They might love them, they might hate them, but they could not put them on the back burner the way so many causes for self-determination, Cyprus, for example, had been ignored by the world. Now you had everyone talking about the Palestinians, grabbing attention, and they saw this as a success. And really, by the end of the 1970s, the Palestinians had more diplomatic relations with states than Israel did. There were two very significant costs for the Palestinians for their use of terrorism. One is that while the terrorism made the Palestinian cause world famous, it also associated it with violence against civilians. So in many countries, especially the United States, the Palestinians were viewed with distaste, and there was at times less sympathy for their cause than there might otherwise have been had they not turned to terrorism. It also made negotiations harder. When Israel negotiated with Egypt or with other countries after 1967, there was a sense that these were enemies in the past, but enemies who had at least adhered to a code, who had a sense of honor, and when they were willing to negotiate, the negotiations were serious. With the Palestinians, there was a sense that these were dishonorable leaders, people you couldn't trust. And as a result, it made peace negotiations much harder. There was a lack of trust, and all that contributed to the failure of negotiations in the end.